What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. Today, I'm here with some book reviews. Let's get it.
Favorite reader, that's who you are. Traveling near, traveling far. Through every chapter, you're the star. Favorite reader, that's who you are.
Okay, so let's not waste no time. I have 4 books to review today. I'm actually going to review them in the order that I read them in. So the first one is The Price for Their Pound of Flesh, The Value of the Enslaved, The Womb to Grave in the Building of a Nation by Dana Ramey Berry. This, as you could probably tell by the title, was tough to get through. It was hard to read some of this stuff. Like you know and understand the inner workings of chattel slavery, but what I don't think I realized as deeply as I thought I did is like the entire life cycle and afterlife of the enslaved people. Like, I didn't even think about their bodies after they died. I didn't even think, like, I thought about it, but not as deeply as this book talked about, like how there was it was still a part of like the economic trade of that time. And it was just, this was tough. Very, very researched, horrifying reality and subject matter. So basically, she called it the ghost value, like what happens to Black bodies and slave bodies after they're no longer living. Wow. I'm telling you, every time I think it can't get no worse, it get worse. Every single time I think it can't get no worse, it get worse. And also to think about, like, obviously you think about the value that's placed on these human Black bodies, but to think about, like, it just goes in so much detail of really like the economics of it all, of a grown man, of a pregnant woman or a childbearing woman, of a fertile woman, of children of that woman. And then at what point, like, does that child cross over to then be, that childbearing, like, at what point does that child cross over to be childbearing, and how the values change over time? Sick. Yeah, man. Like, even after death, even after literal death, their bodies couldn't rest. Like, people had their hands out to get these for scientific research, had their hands out to get them for souvenirs and freaking collectibles, like had their hands out to try to prove something, like just for whatever reason, for educational purposes, scientific purposes, whatever, had a hand out. And like, this person has no say over their entire body for their whole life and afterlife. It's sickening for real. And then I think about, like, so much of, I just think about like everything that we've learned, whether you've learned it in school, which I'm sure that wasn't much. Well, maybe it was, I don't know. Or you learned it on your own. Whatever it is that's literally written down in books can be verified in journals and articles and posters and whatever, in ledgers, anything, whatever can be verified because there is a paper trail of it. I imagine the things that's not, like, that's purposefully not, that doesn't have a paper trail on purpose. And I thought that when reading like a few other books, but I just think about, like, this is the stuff that they're going back and they connecting dots and they pulling stuff up, and we're inferring some things. Like, what isn't written down? Like, what has been, and then what was written down, but it was misinterpreted or misrepresented or understated or outright changed. You know what I mean? And it's just, oh, let's see what's this highlight. Let me just read something I got highlighted. Just pick some random things I got highlighted on here. That choice also meant that potential buyers put a price tag on enslaved children before conception. Let's see. Enslaved women's bodies were catalysts for 19th century economic development, distinguishing U.S. slavery from bondage in other parts of the world. In earlier studies of antebellum prices, childbearing women had higher monetary values than men. Children from 1 year to 18 months old are now worth about $100. Understanding the ghost value of enslaved youth at death is as important as probing their fiscal values in life. Enslaved children died at high rates. Yeah, I'm glad I read it. I did. It did make me frame like US slavery in a slightly different light. I think everything that I learned moving forward and probably since forever, it just kind of gets stacked on what I knew before then and just all creates like a bigger picture of what I thought. But I still think that no matter what I think, no matter like this image that I have is probably 100 times worse. But yeah, that was the first book. Okay, I said in order, right? Next, we have a short story collection, Gorilla My Love by Toni Cade Bambara. So this is the second book that I read from Toni Cade Bambara, and I have a few favorites. One, let me just say, I like her style of writing. It's very nostalgic again. It's very like raw and real and almost gritty in a way. I like that. Yeah, but let me just stop before I even get to the short stories. The introduction, or she says a sort of preface. This started off and it immediately caught my attention, like immediately, and I resonated with so much of what was said. And it's short; it's just like a page and a half, but it was just so. It captured the essence of the book. And I knew at that point, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like this. So it already started off good before we even got to the short stories. There's 15 short stories and they have like a range of topics, different types of characters. Some characters have similarities, similar traits, but it's just a range. So my favorite ones are Gorilla My Love. What else? Raymond's Run. And Happy Birthday. Those are my favorite three. All of them were good, but those three, it was something about them that just like immediately captured me. Like in the first two that I mentioned, Raymond's Run and Gorilla My Love, they both have like a little girl at the center of. Actually, all three of them do. And Happy Birthday, they have a little girl at the center of all of them. But with the first two, Gorilla My Love and Raymond's Run, she just reminds me, not totally of little me, but like, I just feel like I could see myself feeling like, or like saying some of the stuff that she said, or like thinking in a child's point of view in that way. Like they both little girls had like these fiery attitudes. They was, scrappy. They was like, they just had, I don't know, very captivating personalities and not always in a good way. But those two for sure. And then Happy Birthday, I feel like it was just a good representation of how children sometimes aren't understood, but also how poorly they understand situations too, and how pure their like raw emotions are, because they don't have other things almost to consider. They just don't have a lot of other life experiences outside of this is right, this is wrong, this is how I feel. I feel this way. Period. Like it don't matter what else. I don't have other stuff to consider. That's what it is. And my feelings are big. So that was that. I do like the Salt Eaters more than this, but it could just be because I like novels more than I like short stories. But this was really good. I could see. And I actually talked to a couple people that said that they preferred this over the Salt Eater. So very good. I'm very glad I read it. But those three like transported me. They took me back. Okay, next I read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This book, initially I read it. One, I kept saying I was going to read it for years, but I initially read it because I was going to use this story for something else. But it didn't work out for it. So I was going to use this for something else and it didn't work out for it. But I still enjoyed it. If you don't know what this is about, it is about two main-ish characters. This is a detective novel, and the detective is trying to get to the bottom of his friend, Dr. Jekyll, and his weird person, Mr. Hyde. And so he's like trying to get to the bottom of who these people are. Like, you say you got this friend, and it's this sinister stuff going on at play, like a lot of activity going on, and we just trying to figure out what's going on. And it's really like one of those classic tales of good versus evil, of that duality of man, of like feeling isolated, trying to like conquer your demons in a way. It's also been described as like an allegorical view of addiction. So that was interesting too. But yeah, I've never read it. I always heard a story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but I never read it. So I went in knowing what the twist was. I went in knowing pretty much what happened. So I was really just reading it to see how the story unfolded, how it was written, how captivating it was, to see how the scene was set and stuff like that. Yeah, it's considered a gothic classic. Very interesting. I actually like the way it was written. And there's another, like, it's other short stories in here, but I only read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So let's see what else is in here. They have The Suicide Club, A Lodging for the Night, Thrawn, Janet, The Body Snatcher, Markham, and some end notes. Yeah. Yeah. I enjoyed it. So there's that. It didn't work. I mean, I read it for a specific purpose that it didn't work for, but I'm still glad I read it because just out of pure entertainment, it was good. Yeah. Okay, lastly, this video sped by as well. Lastly, I read One Day Everyone Would Have Always Been Against This by Omar El Akkad. Yeah, this was it had parts that were tough to read in it, but this was like part journalism covering the Palestinian conflict in Gaza, the genocide. It was part journalism, but also part like personal account of the author as well, things that he saw with his own eyes, things that he experienced growing up, the current state of the world. But while it was just as like, it was halfway showing his disgust and frustration and just like how his heart was pouring out to what's happening in Gaza, with lots of descriptions of the violence and death experienced by the Palestinians. So it was part that, but it was also part critique of the West and criticism of capitalism and modern liberalism. So, and those all, I guess, can tie into one thing. He pretty much did tie them in seamlessly, but those were the two main points of this book, in my opinion. And he was basically saying, and he used other events in history too, where either you got people like, where right, like in the future, people will look back when they're learning about this and they will say like, I can't believe, like, it'll be so clear how wrong it is versus what people are now, where they kind of like teetering on the line, or he's just saying one day everybody will say like they were always against it. And he used examples in the past where that pretty much has happened. So yeah, I thought his critique of the West was interesting. I thought his critique of capitalism was interesting. And I'm not saying interesting. I just realized that sounded kind of condescending. I don't mean it like that. I just meant it was timely. I shouldn't have said interesting. It was timely, and he made some good points. I like reading books where it's a critique of something, a system, anything like that, especially when there's a large group of people that are suffering under the oppression of said system. So yeah, he tied in like repression, oppression, and the hate of many groups that can kind of be interconnected under the umbrella of insert XYZ. So yeah, some of this is hard to read too because he gets very descriptive of some of the violence that's happening. He like details parts of this genocide. He talks about a lot. And then again, he's using also his personal experiences. So it's heartfelt in some ways. You can almost read and feel his frustration and disgust. You could just read it. It's oozing out the pages. And there was one thing. Did I highlight it? Did I not highlight it? I don't think I did. I don't think I highlighted it, but it was a few parts in here that I really liked how he approached the hypocrisy of, again, modern liberalism, capitalism, the West in general, the big West in general, and just pointed out the hypocrisy. And that's something is so evident in so many different areas. Like when he was talking about it, yeah, I agree, it is hypocrisy. But that trickles down to so many different areas, and he did a good job at showing just how hypocritical groups can be, just how depending on the group that we're talking about that's being oppressed at the time, depending on the certain group that we like, whether we place value on them or not, depends on the outrage that's warranted. So many different things, and I just thought it was well done. So yeah, I don't want to say I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed hearing him voice his opinion on this and really call out a lot of people. Like not individually, he wasn't calling out like naming people, but yeah. Yeah. So that was it, y'all, for today. Quick video. Just wanted to go over the 4 books that I recently read. If you read any of these, let me know what you think. If you want to read any of these, let me know what you think. Yeah, that's it. And I'm going to catch y'all on the next one.
Pages turning soft as silk, stories flowing like warm milk. A journey starts with every line, worlds unfolding in your mind. Bookmarks falling where dreams collide. Every cover's got a tale inside. Favorite reader.